Hi everyone. Welcome to our live stream. And hi. Okay, that was fast.
Easier.
Long time no see.
It's been ages.
We were just over on TikTok starting off the live and we did our pencil sketching, but this is Torryn. So we are starting our very first guest live stream here on Instagram and I'm really excited. Do you want to share a bit about what we started doing on TikTok and what we're doing today?
Sure. So in light of my most recent bullet journal video for the Netherlands, we thought that it would be cool to do a little tutorial of how to paint the tulip with watercolor. So the tulip is the national flower for Netherlands, so that's where the thought of it came from.
And every month you do a bullet journal theme that's relating to a country, right?
I do, yes.
What countries have you done in the past, and when did you start doing this?
Okay, so I started doing the country themes in the beginning of 2020 with Japan. But at the beginning, I was just kind of going with what I thought of the country, not really researching them. And then as we got along and people started joining in the fun and, you know, saying, oh, can you do my country? Then, you know, it started taking off, and I now really research all the countries that I look at each month and try and learn as much as I can about them and then illustrate them in the journal themes. So I've done 24 to 26 countries so far. And I've learned so much, I just hope I can retain a lot of it.
Are you going to share some facts, if you have any?
You have to challenge me. Which country?
Oh, for the one that we're doing, if you have any off the top of your head. I'm always interested.
My head. National flower is a tulip.
Oh.
I did find it interesting that all the windmills in the Netherlands, I didn't really know what they were used for. I figured it was just like grain or wind energy or something, but they were actually pretty essential in keeping the land dry. So they would turn away a lot of the water and actually drainage from the land because they're so low lying. So that's something.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
With the wind in some way? This is windmill.
So the wind would turn the turbines, and then I'm guessing there's like some sort of, I didn't look into this part, but there's like a system of how it drains away the fluid or the liquid, and the water is the word I'm looking for, to keep all the land dry.
That's so cool. I have actually heard that they're below sea level in some.
They are. Yeah, like percent of the country is below sea level.
Cool. And if anyone here is from the Netherlands, let us know. I'm going to maybe add a question. Where are you from?
Cool.
And then the only other thing, if you want to start before we go into the drawing, where are some places that people can find you? Like, you're on YouTube. What else do you get up to?
So on YouTube, I'm just Torryn Marie. You can find me there. On here, I'm Torryn Marie Art. If it's not somewhere on the screen, I don't know. And then I have a website, torrynmarie.com. So once you have my name, you should be able to find me online. But yeah, I'm local to Perth, so I do like some stuff in Perth, and then otherwise online, it's all those kind of things.
Sweet. And I'm calling from Kingston, Ontario. So for me, it's evening. It's like 9 p.m. And
oh, wow.
For you, it's, what time is it?
Today it is right 10 a.m. in the morning on Thursday. So I'm in the future.
Oh, can you tell me what happens after? Just DM secretly.
You win the lotto.
So, all right. We can maybe start, I'll flip the camera around and we can keep going from the sketch that we started on TikTok. How does that sound?
Sounds good. I will flip as well.
And I see a few people here are from Australia too. There's US. Is anyone from the Netherlands who's watching? Philippines, Indonesia, Brazil, Pakistan, New Zealand, California.
Yeah, all over.
Yeah. Mexico, Ecuador. Sweet. Okay, so I've got the sketch all ready, and so does Torryn.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I mean, let me know what's next then.
Okay. I just realized I'm a little bit crooked. Hopefully that doesn't matter. There we go. Okay, so we've done almost the whole base sketch. There's just a couple of things missing from this leaf. So if we just put in another kind of wavy line that comes through the center and then leave this part quite thick.
Of the left leaf?
Yes, the left leaf.
Oh, I sneakily did that one already.
Oh, good.
I put a wavy line.
Cool. All right, well, I'll sneak in there and do my other wavy line too of where the leaf folds on the other side. And then we should be ready to, I would normally lighten this sketch a little bit, but I won't so that people can see it. But if you wanted to use, like, I have a kneaded eraser here, which is handy to lighten sketches.
I love kneaded erasers. They're
so good.
Yes.
Yeah, they do get very dirty though.
Yeah.
They need to invent like a really bright colored one.
Oh, I've always wondered why they're always gray.
Yeah,
I thought there was some reason for it, but
yeah, maybe there is, but I'm not privy to that.
It'd be cool if it had a color and you could paint with it somehow.
Yeah, that would be cool. See, patent it. So yeah, so now with the sketch, I'm going to use my Micron fine liner. I actually didn't mention that it's good to have a waterproof fine liner before you're doing watercolors. If you're going to put this down before your paint, you do want it to be water resistant so that it doesn't bleed everywhere. Do you have a water resistant one, Iwana?
Yes. I'm using a Pitt Faber-Castell India ink.
Perfect. I think that's a good one. Yep.
Do you usually go for India ink when you're looking for one that's water resistant?
Yeah, I think these ones might be India ink as well. I pretty much just look for, oh, this is pigment ink for waterproof and fade proof lines. But yeah, I have used the uni pin ones as well, and they seem to be, oh no, they're pigment ink as well.
Cool. And one thing I've never before thought of this, but I've started questioning. I always do the fine liner first and then I paint over with watercolor. Have you ever done the other way where you do watercolor first and then paint over and then like outline it with fine liner?
I have actually, and I do a little bit of both. So this one I'll just put in the base so that we can rub out the eraser, but then afterwards I like to go in and sharpen up my sketch part with the fine liner. I find that gives a little bit more like contrast in the end.
Okay, cool. So I've got the pen. Are you just kind of outlining what we sketched, or do you add anything else at this point?
It's pretty much outlining as you sketch. When I do it, I kind of keep to those feathery little lines so that it's not too like graphic and harsh a line. So I don't know if that, you know, so like sometimes you might get a bit of broken lines, which I think is kind of nice, but it's up to you. And then at the base of the petal, there'll be like some, I don't know what the proper word is, but it's like striations, I like to call. They're just like lines that seem to kind of flow up the petal. So I like to put a few of those in.
Do they flow into the stem or into the flower part?
Into the flower itself.
Ah, okay.
Upwards from the stem. And then I'm just going to outline everything. So it's almost like you're sketching with the pen, I find, because like if you think of it more of a sketch rather than line art, that kind of helps you to get more of a looser sketch.
Cool. Are you putting this into your bullet journal after, or have you actually, no, you've already set up your bullet journal, right?
I've already done it. So the video went live last night. If anyone wants to check it out to learn a bit about the Netherlands.
On Torryn Marie. I'll type that in here.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Marie. Is your YouTube Torryn Marie Art or just Torryn Marie?
Torryn Marie.
Cool. Okay.
And this piece will probably just go in my sketchbook after, I think, or be gifted to a friend maybe.
How do you gift it? Like, do you add it to a card in some way, or you gift it print?
I could gift it as a print actually because it's probably a bit bigger, but I often use my artwork as cards because this sounds terrible, but I hate paying for cards when I feel like I can make them myself.
I mean, I love handmade cards.
Yeah.
That's the first things that got me into crafting. I used to follow Catherine Pooler.
Oh, okay.
I don't know if you've heard of her, but she did a lot of things with stamps. So.
Oh. Yeah, no, I haven't heard of her. I'll have to check her out. But yeah, I've also have always made cards, and it's definitely one of the things that was always a way to practice the skills, you know?
Yeah. Oh, the other thing I was going to ask, for anyone who's joining us, can you leave an emoji, maybe like the art palette emoji? I'll put it in the comments. If you're following along with us, if you're actually doing the craft.
And then I was jumping ahead, but I'm just kind of adding some like delicate lines on the leaves, showing where the folds are. If you can see that, Luana.
Yes. And so you're doing this before the watercolor, but you're going to kind of touch them up after too, right?
Yeah, to just add a bit of depth. So then once you've got your line art done, you can just erase the sketch so it doesn't get muddy. And then let me know when you're ready, Ioana, because I can't see you again.
I'm just adding the details.
Okay.
I really like the lines on the leaves. I think that adds a lot of texture.
Yeah, definitely more texture, hey. I didn't often draw tulips either. You mentioned before that you hadn't really drawn them before, but honestly, since I started like sort of prepping for this workshop, I haven't stopped. They've just been like coming out in doodles everywhere, and yeah, they're really fun to paint as well, especially loosely, like these ones in the background.
Oh yeah, I'm excited for those ones. They look cool because they're kind of going into the distance.
Yeah.
I'm all done with the fine liner.
Okay, perfect. So now we can get started with the watercolor. So hopefully we get enough time to do it. One thing is if you want to speed up time, you can always use a hairdryer to dry in between each stage. I don't know that we'll be able to do that on here though. So
that's really ASMR.
Yeah, that's right. So I'm going to get some of my red into my little palette.
So I'm
using red, but it's actually permanent.
Sorry,
I said red paint, but I actually meant permanent rose.
Permanent rose.
Yep.
Is it a specific brand that you're using for watercolors?
I don't think it matters. This one in particular is Winsor & Newton, but yeah, just any watercolor that's around this shade would be ideal.
I'm using a travel palette, so I'm gonna kind of mix the red with a lot more water, I think.
No worries.
A little more muddy. Oh yeah, do you want to share again what you had mentioned in the talk about choosing cool colors?
Oh yes. Yeah, so the three colors that I've got here is lemon yellow, permanent rose, and ultramarine, and they're like three cool shades of these hues. So ideally when you're mixing, if you want vibrant, rich colors like this here, you want to mix cool colors with cool colors. So that's why when the yellow and the ultramarine mix together, they give you quite a nice vibrant color. But if you were to mix a cool with a warm, it just might make it a little bit more like a muddy color, or even just more earthy. So that's just something to keep in mind. So you can do it with any colors, any shades, but it just might change the effect of your picture in the end.
Mm-hmm. I love that. I actually had never heard of that tip before, and cool. It's really helpful. So
awesome. All right, so now you've got your red ready.
Yes.
Make sure your brush is decently wet, and you're pretty much going to start at the tip and press down quite firmly on your brush and bring it to the base, and you can leave that water that puddles there at the base. And then bring it down the other side to meet it, and then one through the middle, and hopefully that gives you your full leaf covered. And you can just let it dry. I love watercolors, how you just let it do what it wants to do. So by just adding those 3 marks and then see it dry, you'll see some differentiation in it.
Is watercolor your favorite medium to paint in?
At the moment it is, yeah. I do tend to change though.
Have you ever done like your bullet journal spreads with gouache or acrylic or anything like that?
Yeah, I think that's actually one of the things that I love to do. I love to like try different techniques and different medias. So I've done all 3 of those, and acrylic gouache I'm just getting into recently as well, and that's so much fun.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've seen a lot of beautiful gouache paintings recently. They're really cool with how opaque they are.
Yeah, they're really nice. So very different to watercolor.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, now we can move on to the other petals. This one, I'm leaving a little bit of a highlight line down the left-hand side of the flower, because that's where the light's coming from.
Mm-hmm.
The others you can just kind of paint in as well. It shouldn't really matter too much.
Okay. So on the left petal that looks kind of like the tongue, you're leaving white on the left.
Yeah, just a little highlight of white. And you can always enhance that later by using a white pen. But it's just something to keep in mind. And then while you're doing that, I'm just going to mix up a little bit of a purple shade in my next little mixing hole. So just adding a touch of ultramarine into some of the rose gives you like a little...
I went straight to my pre-made purple in the palette.
Oh, nice. Yeah, do that. And then I'm just going to tap that in at the base of the flower.
Ooh. I love how the watercolor kind of does its own thing when we're letting it wet.
And I'm just kind of working it like in lines, I guess, at the bottom, so that it fades up into the main part of the flower.
Also, I forgot to mention, if anyone has any questions for Torryn, just leave them in the question box. There's a little question mark on the bottom right of your screen, and that'll just help us not miss anything from the comments.
And then let me know once you've finished that, Ivana, and we can move on to the stem.
I'm all set.
Okay, cool. So now I'm going to mix up a green, and for that I'm using mostly yellow. So making a yellow section in my mixing palette, and then just adding a little touch of the ultramarine. So it's nice to start with the lighter colors and then move as we get darker, because it's all about layers.
Layers?
Yeah, it's all about layers.
And in watercolor, you said go from light to dark, right?
Yes.
Okay.
And then so once you have like a nice light green, you can start at the tip where the flower is, and even if it bleeds a little bit into that green, it's kind of nice. And then just bring that down. And I'm also leaving a little bit of a highlight on the left-hand side where the light's hitting it.
I like how really kind of painterly it looks. It's very almost mystical looking, like the painting you had on the left.
Yeah, I think it's because of that nice background fading off. I really like the format of it.
So how do you come up with ideas for what to draw? I mean, once you've chosen a country, do you just kind of browse photos from the country, or?
Yeah, so once I decide on what I'm going to be illustrating on each page, I'll try and find reference images. A lot of the time I tend to mix references together, so that it forms like a scene, or there might be a lot of different things that I'm including on one spread. But yeah, so imagery is huge in my research part, because usually it's like an image that sparks the desire to want to paint it, you know?
Mm-hmm. Where do you find your images? Are you a Pinterest frequent or Google Images?
Yeah, surprisingly, no, not as much on Pinterest. It's probably more like Google, and then I find a lot, the ones that I want to work from, I'll find on like Shutterstock or iStock, something like that, because I don't need the real one. I'll just use the one with the watermark on it.
Cool. I'm all set with the stem, by the way, if you want it.
Okay, so now using that same color, you can see in this here how we've got a lighter part on these leaves. If we go ahead and do that, so that these are the parts that are in the sunshine.
Oh, so that part is flipped outwards, right?
Yeah, I think
I
so.
thought that was inside of the leaf.
Oh, yeah. That's how I view it anyway, but I reckon this is all in the eye of the beholder. It could be on the outside.
Is the one on the left also
So these parts here, like that's kind of like folding in. So it's like a little cup almost, and the bright part that you see is actually the inside of the leaf, so it's like folding in.
Oh, I see. Okay. That makes
sense. I'm guessing that's the sunshine coming through the leaf and kind of, like making it look transparent.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty cool flowers these are.
Cool. I've got the inside parts, but on the outside.
And now to add more blue to that green, let's get it a little bit darker. And if you want to go even darker, you could add a touch of the red. That just kind of makes it a little bit more grayish. And then that we can put in on the other parts of the leaves that we haven't done.
And we have quite a few questions here. I thought maybe I can ask a few as we're going through. Okay. A really good question is, what is your favorite country you've done in your bullet journal?
Ooh, tough one. Oh, that is tough. I'm going to go with maybe Finland. I remember researching a lot about Finland, and I don't know, I just really wanted to go there. I mean, every place I research, I really want to go there, and it ends up on my very long bucket list.
Yes.
But yeah, I'd probably say Finland and Mexico. Oh, and Japan. I don't know. That's a tough one. Next question.
Name the ones that are on the washi tapes that you designed.
That's right. Yeah, they were probably my first 5 favorite. Well, Australia, I have to do because I live here and I love Australia, and I had to promote it to the world. But yeah, the others were definitely some faves.
The washi tape that you are using to tape down your paper, that is Australia, right?
It is. I'm representing today.
I was wondering, did you choose that as to represent?
I sure did.
Yes. I've got the washi tapes right here, actually, that Torryn designed. I'll show them off a little bit. So the one on the left is Australia, and then is Finland, India, Mexico, and what was the one with the tigers?
South Korea. That one was actually awesome as well. I really loved South Korea.
What I really love is you actually sometimes go to restaurants based on your bullet journal theme, right?
Yeah, we try to. It's a little bit hard, but South Korea was perfect.
That's so creative. I love that you incorporate like something fun to do, an activity with
It's
what you're
amazing.
doing.
It's amazing how it kind of overtakes my life because, like, I feel like that month I'm saying phrases from the country or trying to try the foods that I've read about, or things like that.
Hmm. Do you think you'll ever run out of countries?
I don't think so. I think there's so many left to do, and I keep getting requests for more to do as well, which is really nice to see how many people love to learn stuff as well.
So you're gonna keep doing it like
So,
for a while, right?
yeah, I'd probably say another at least a couple of years. I don't see myself stopping anytime soon just because it is like it's a big part of who I am now and what I do. So it's like it's so productive as well. And yeah, I don't see myself stopping, but I guess eventually I will.
Hmm. And you don't plan to repeat any of them? Like you're choosing a new one each time, right?
I think so, just because I'd feel bad if someone wanted to see their country again and like I did theirs, but not someone else's. I'd hate to like make people feel left out or forgotten about. So I probably
Hmm.
won't go back and repeat, but I did say before I wasn't happy with the Japan setup, and I wish that I had done that sort of now so that I could really investigate more. So what I thought I'd do, I had a comment from someone saying they would love to see a mind map spread of someone from Japan, and I thought that was a great idea. So I might do that in my sketchbook, just do a little bit more of an exploration of places like Japan that I didn't feel I gave like 110% to, and then that will settle that feeling in me.
That's cool.
Yeah.
What do you mean by a mind map?
Oh, so the mind map spread is, I just hate the word brain dump. So I
Oh,
use it's mind map for mine. So it's basically a spread where I put, ideas that come up throughout the month and just anything like that. And on that spread, I always focus on usually a lady famous from that nation or someone special that I've read about. So people really love that page in particular as well.
hmm. That's cool. I totally get brain dump doesn't sound super nice.
It doesn't, does it?
All right, I'm all set with the leaves. So whenever you're ready, we
I
can.
just realized I'm totally talking and painting at the same time and just adding. So what I did there, I don't know where you're up to, Iwana, but I was just adding more darkness into those leaves in
Uh,
using a bit more of that darker green and just kind of adding it in to sweep it up and give it a bit more of texture sort of thing. Did I
okay.
skip ahead?
No, it's perfect.
All good?
I was
Okay.
kind of adding a little bit as well, mindlessly. I'm
I'm
just
glad.
following it, anything you're doing, really. So,
I'm glad you know what you're doing. And then I guess then we can go back to the top of the flower because that's pretty much dry now. And we're just going to deepen all the colors up. So pretty much do the same thing again at the top.
cool. And as we do that, I'll find another question here. Oh, okay. I have to ask this one. Have you done Canada? Because I'm
Oh,
Canada.
I not yet, but do you know what? I cannot wait to do Canada. It's a place that me and my husband have always been like, we love everybody from Canada. Anyone we meet from Canada is always so kind and lovely. And then the images of Canada looks amazing. We just want to go there so bad. So I can't wait to research that one.
Cool. It's very cold, so I would definitely. Well, I mean, I don't know. Do you ski? Um.
Uh, I've never seen snow, Irwana.
Oh, really?
Yep.
Is it
Uh,
really warm,
it
like
is.
year round?
Yeah, pretty much. Our winters are like, do you use Celsius or Fahrenheit?
Celsius.
Okay, so here our winters like maybe get to 15 degrees.
Wow,
That's like the lowest, and that's usually at nighttime.
that's incredible.
Yeah. So the thought of snow, I totally want to see it, and I can't wait to see it one day. But yeah, it that's probably why I've got so much fascination for like these countries, because although I've been to a fair amount of places, it's never been cold.
Yeah, I find the snow is absolutely gorgeous when it's white and there's like a snowstorm. But even just like when I'm sitting inside looking outside, I always underestimate how cold it is once I actually get out.
Oh, really? And I've heard it's really like ice, so that when you go to your car or something, it's like proper ice cubes that you have to like
Oh,
stab.
yes.
Yeah,
Yes,
amazing.
stab is a good word to
Yeah.
describe it.
Whereas I picture it like beautiful, I don't know, like soft marshmallows falling on the ground.
That's true it too in its own way.
Yeah, good. And
I'm
then, oh, sorry.
I was just gonna say I'm gonna look for another question, but go ahead.
Well, once that dries, we should be able to attempt the background.
Okay. A lot of people are asking for the Instagram account name, so I'm just gonna type that in as well while you show me the next step.
Okay. So the next step is, most of this has been wet on dry, but this background we want to do wet on wet. So that means you have to prepare your surface by wetting it all first and then painting in while it's wet. So that's going to be difficult because our top flower is still wet. So I might just start down the bottom and work my way up. But ideally, you would want to wait till this is completely dry, and that way you can go and get a soft gradient from top to bottom. So if we start at the base and just wet our page up a little bit.
Okay. Someone actually asked also, do you use a great tool to dry layers normally, or do you wait for it to air dry? So
I would definitely use a hairdryer. I'm impatient.
So you normally use that like in your YouTube videos and whatnot?
Yeah, pretty much. Mostly hairdryer. And if I have the time or I wanted a break, I'll just let it air dry.
Mm-hmm.
I've accidentally touched the edge here, so you can see what happens when you don't wait for it to dry. But I'm not worried about it because it's watercolor and it looks kind of nice.
It's very painterly.
Yeah.
Do you often take breaks in between your work, or do you do you usually finish what you've started?
I would actually have to take a lot of breaks because I have two daughters at home. Luckily, they're both in full-time school now, so that makes it easier. But if they're home and I'm working, it's constant up and down.
Yes. Are they very
Sorry?
Are they very young?
They are 8 and 4.
Wow. Cool.
Yeah. So I'm enjoying my new life of having both of them in full-time school. That's kind of nice.
Yeah, it probably feels a lot different.
It does. Yeah. Okay, so once I have made my page all nice and wet, I mean, I'm not drowning it, but I'm just putting a coat on. Then we can grab some green, lighter green. And this part is just really just very loose. Just kind of putting in some stripes almost to sort of emulate all the leaves of the field behind.
Do you also go for a different art style every time? Like you've mentioned that this one is a lot more loose and painterly. Do you always do that or no?
Yeah, so my go-to is quite fine, like quite detailed and sort of perfected. And I love that, but I actually really love the look of loose stuff. So I'm always trying to push myself to like stop before adding too much detail.
Mm-hmm.
And when I like find a country that has particular artists that are famous, I love to try and emulate their styles. Like for example, Netherlands, I just did some Van Gogh stuff. That's how you say Van Gogh in
Van Gogh or some. Sorry,
yeah,
I'm not.
So Americans say, and Canadians say Van Gogh, and then Australians in English, we say Van Gogh, but the
Oh,
actual way to pronounce it is Van Gogh.
that's a fun fact. I never knew there were so many ways to pronounce it.
I know, weird, right?
Have you posted anything of that already?
Just the cover page on Instagram, and the video is up on YouTube.
And like the Van Gogh spreads as well?
Yep, that should be on my goodliness page.
Cool.
And I did like the mind map I did with Johannes Vermeer's style, which is the girl with the pearl earring. Do you know that painting?
Oh, yes.
Yeah, so I
Wow.
did sort of that.
So lots of very different things. You don't really, like, I think you focus more on the country than necessarily a specific style all around, right?
Exactly, yeah. I'm sort of, I like to try a bit of everything. Okay, and I'm not sure where you're up to, Awana, but I've kind of reached where the tulips will go. So now I'm going to go with the red. And to do these little tulips, it's just a little teardrop shape, which is nice and simple, just pressing your brush down and forming like a little teardrop.
Mm-hmm. I'm just working on my stems, but I'm almost there.
Okay.
And the tape that you did around the border, that's kind of to leave a white around the edge. Do you do that a lot as well?
I do, yeah. I like to make it nice and sharp on the edges. And it also helps to make sure that the paper dries flat afterwards. Do you know how it buckles if you don't sort of stick it down?
That's what's happening to mine.
Oh, yeah, sorry, I didn't notice that. Yeah, I should have said to down, but that's okay. It should dry fine, but it just helps with that.
I usually press it between some books afterwards.
Oh, yeah,
but
that's...
I was just impatient and didn't do all the way around with the washi tape.
Yeah, and you do feel sad wasting washi tape. A lot of people say that to me, like, how are you doing that, wasting all your washi tape? But my secret is I only do that when I'm filming, guys. I don't waste the washi tape otherwise.
I wonder that before. Do you, like, what else can you use to tape around the edge? Because it doesn't really work with clear tape.
Yeah, so just masking tape's pretty good.
Okay. Another really cool question here is there a country that surprises you a lot, like a landmark or nature-wise?
Oh yeah, Costa Rica.
Oh.
Costa Rica was so interesting. And I didn't realize how much, like how many animals and birds and just so tropical the life was there. And that is another place on the bucket list, of course. But yeah, that one definitely surprised me.
And which countries have you visited before?
In real life?
Yes.
I have been only to New York in the US. So I've been to New York, and then we did like a Caribbean cruise. So we went to St. Thomas and Grand Turk and San Juan. And then we lived in London for a little while. So I've been to England, and then we've been to Italy and France.
Oh,
and Singapore. And then that's it, I think.
I really want to go to Italy at some point.
No, it's so beautiful there. How long a trip would it be for you guys to get to Italy?
About 7 hours or so. Although, well, so I know I'm originally from Romania. That's where I was born. And that takes about 8 hours if you fly direct.
Okay.
And till Scotland or the UK, it was maybe 5 or 6. So somewhere in between.
Yeah, it's so surprising to me when, you can get to so many different countries and cultures from just a quick flight. Whereas like our flight to England, for example, we had to do 21 hours to get there. And it was like 2 flights broken up. And I remember we were really, really lucky and had no TV working on our flight from Singapore to London. So it was like 13 hours without a TV.
So you've been on a flight that's longer than 12 hours before?
Yep. So probably 13 would be our max.
Wow.
Yeah. It sucks.
What do you do? Do you do travel sketching as well? Like when you visit?
Yeah, it feels like centuries ago that I went traveling, but yeah, when I did, I would love to just sit down and sketch. I never really took paints though. It was just more sketching.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel the same way. I guess it's always like the grass is greener on the other side, but I feel the same way that you do about people who live in Europe, because they can get to a lot, like it's a lot more central, I find, to get to
exactly
places. But I guess from North America, it's easy to get to somewhere like Costa Rica, for example, too. So
yeah, true. Yeah, I always I find it so amazing that Europe can just, they can go for a little drive and suddenly they're in another country.
yes.
Being from a massive island like Australia, if I drive for 3 days, I will end up in Sydney. You're like on the other side of Australia, but that's it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I think I'm all good with the background.
Cool.
It's very blurry.
Oh yeah, that's looking good. Nice and blurry going off into the distance. And then I would just say, if you have a white pen on hand, do you have one?
Yes.
Cool. I would just put in some highlights and on the main flower, really. We can't really touch the background, but just on the left side of the main petal, and then the left side of the tongue petal.
Mm-hmm. I love how it's called the tongue petal now.
That's right.
But that was you mentioned in the TikTok, so
yeah. If people are wondering why I'm calling it tongue, I said it looked like a tongue as I was drawing it. Then we can also put a highlight down the left side of the leaf. My pen's not working.
Dry?
Sorry?
Is yours fully dry?
No, and that's why it's not really working that great.
Oh, okay.
I mean, this would be good to do white gouache as well if you're following along at home or you're able to spend more time on it. Just wait till it dries and then do like a fine line of white gouache. That should probably work nicely.
Mm-hmm.
And then once that's done, you can just add in some more depth using the fine liner and put some more like little striations like down from the top of the petal coming down and then from the base going up.
I think some of my striations got eroded by the watercolor, so definitely could go over them again.
Yeah, they do tend to fade, don't they?
I think I need to let mine dry a little bit more, though.
Yeah, I feel like it's killing my pen.
We can post some photos afterwards too once we add some more details. So cool. We don't have to do all of the fine liner right now.
Oh, sweet. And then the only thing I would say as well is just on the back, if you can define some of the petals in the background, you can just put a little highlight of white on the left-hand side of where you think they might be, but that's not necessary. It's just a little something extra.
And do you add some darker pink in the background too? I see on some of the petals.
Yep, you can do that mainly at the base as well. So, and keep it quite, what's the word? Like kind of wet as you're doing it. I sort of placed mine a little bit too far in the background this time.
This turned out so cool. And I love you kind of went with a darker green or just darker colors in general on the left. And this one's a little bit more bright. It's like 2 different times of day.
Yeah, true. And to be honest, that's probably because of the maybe slightly to do with the paper, because this one was cold pressed. So maybe in this kind of work, cold pressed would be better. But also, I think the time, I think I was more paying attention on this left one, whereas this one we were multitasking.
Yes, that's always challenging.
Yeah.
Although I've heard some people like to do their bullet journal planning while they're watching a movie or something like that. Does anyone do that who's watching? Does anyone do their setup while watching movies or shows? I wouldn't be able to. I don't know about you, Torryn.
Yeah, I personally couldn't do it because I get distracted too easy.
You'd get distracted and only work
Yeah.
on the art or only watch the movie?
I'd be distracted by the movie.
Yes, that's what I was thinking.
Yeah. But I do love me a good chick flick on a Friday night.
What's your favorite movie,
Ooh.
if you have one?
First one that came into my head is not a chick flick at all, but it was Predator.
I was wondering if you were going to mention that one.
Yeah, I do love
Wasn't
that
sure
movie.
if that's your favorite or if it's just kind of something you do often or something you watch often.
It's definitely one of my favorites, but then there's always like I do love The Holiday and Love Actually, but they're kind of Christmas. What else? I love the Lord of the Rings and the Star Wars series.
Yeah,
I used to consider myself a movie buff, but I've lost my way over the last few years because I definitely invest more time in my art now, but still love movies.
Cool.
How about you? What's your favorite genre?
Oh, so I really am drawn to like buildings romance. I kind of movies where they go through someone's life. So I've always said that my favorite is Forrest Gump.
Oh yeah, that's a great movie.
I really liked movies like La La Land. They have a lot in common. Like they're kind of very deep, philosophical, stories of someone's life. So
I haven't actually seen La La Land. I'll have to watch that.
it's quite good.
Yeah.
It is a musical though, so if you're yeah, okay.
I can
You might
definitely
like it.
I like The Green Mile as well, like with Tom Hanks. Shout out to Tom Hanks, love him.
Yes. Which one was that though?
The Green Mile?
The Grim Mile?
Green. Like the prison one where he's a prison warden?
No.
Oh, if you haven't seen it, you must watch it. The Green Mile. It's beautiful.
Huh. I'll add it to my list. I'm actually always looking for stuff. I just recently saw with Scarface.
Okay. As in you saw Scarface recently?
Yes. I saw Scarface just the other day.
All right.
I'm not really big on scary movies though, so it was a little intense.
Yeah. I remember watching it years ago, but I couldn't tell you anything about it now. It's gone from my mind.
Yeah. And I'm also very curious, what did you do before YouTube? Like, what's your background?
I'm a graphic designer by trade, I guess. So I did that for like 13 or 15 years, and I still do a little bit of freelance work. But yeah, mostly graphic design, and then art was on the side because I did uni. I did art at uni.
Mm-hmm. What sort of projects did you graphic design?
I was more in signage, so designed signage for like local businesses and their big neon signs or illuminated signage, and then there was branding within it as well. A little bit of marketing stuff on the side, but yeah, definitely like forefront to signage.
That's really cool.
Thanks. What are you studying?
Oh, I'm studying commerce, and I'm also I'm specializing more or less in marketing.
Oh, nice.
But I'm also very interested in economics. So right now I'm writing a thesis actually, or like a research project. It's a year-long project, and I'm studying video advertisements. And it's kind of related to a lot of things that I'm doing with the Washi Tape Shop, for example, and it's really interesting to combine like what I'm learning at university with some of the things I see online and in art. I mentioned, I think on the TikTok that I was writing a paper this morning, and that was on copyright and whether it does more good than bad or vice versa. So I'm trying to put my mind. Yeah.
That's awesome. My uni life was very different. I never had to write pretty much anything. It was always practical. Exams and stuff were all practical.
Wow. So like lots of paintings and things like that, or what mediums do you guys use?
Yeah, so you were able to try everything, but I majored in painting and minored in graphic design. So yeah, all my exams and stuff, I felt bad because everyone else was studying for quote unquote real jobs. And and yeah, and they were having to write so much and get really stressed out, but I was like, hey, I'm just painting.
It's funny you mentioned that. There is kind of a connotation that it's like the real jobs are in other degrees.
Yes, unfortunately, definitely.
Do you still think that now after having worked in graphic design and doing YouTube? Or have you kind of changed your mind about it over time?
I'm still working on even changing my own mind. It's so hard to get away from it. But yeah, I mean, it's definitely a real job because I feel like there's a lot of effort that goes into it all. And although it's a fun job, it's still a job and it's hard work sometimes. But yeah, I just feel so lucky to have it and to be doing it. So I hope the mindset of that changes in the future for people to think that it is a real career. It's not just a hobby for a lot of people, you know?
Yeah, I feel the same way with working on creative things. Like sometimes I feel like I should be working on my essays or, studying for maths or something instead of getting creative. So it's kind of something to overcome.
Yeah, it is a whole world thing to overcome, I reckon.
Yeah. So I think I'm done with adding some details. I don't want to really overwork it. I was going to ask if you want to flip the cameras around and say a few things before we wrap up.
Sounds good. I will sit around.
I feel so zenned out right now.
Me too. I feel nice and calm. A lot calmer than when I started.
Good. Well, me too. I always make a cup of coffee because I usually do these in the mornings. And this time I made a cup of tea, but I never finished drinking it.
Yeah, I was just going to say, look.
Is it
completely almost untouched?
Yeah.
So I'll be having a new one after this.
Good. Also, I usually microwave them after, and then I just enjoy it. So that's a tip I saw on Instagram.
Yeah. Microwave tea, perfection.
Can you see the question box as well, or is it just me that
I can see a lot of people joined. Is that the same thing?
That's the comments. There's also
don't see a question box then, no.
But I'll look through and put some of the questions up. So someone is asking about buying the tapes. So this is the set that Torryn designed, and that's on the Washi Tape Shop. So if anyone wants to check that out. Here's a question for you, Torryn. Between watercolor, gouache, acrylic, which is your favorite medium and why?
It's a tricky one. I guess it depends on what I'm working on. Like if it's in my journal, I would probably prefer watercolor because it's a little bit quicker and it forces me to be as loose as possible. But if I was working on a canvas, something bigger, I'm an acrylic fan.
Cool. And you use different papers for each, right? There's a specific paper for acrylic?
I don't do a lot of acrylic work on paper actually, but you'd probably find with like a mixed media paper, or sometimes I've just done it on watercolor paper. And I think the journal that I've just got is mixed media. So that'll be interesting to see if the acrylic works good in that.
Cool. I love the rose, the drawing of, I think you named her Rose.
I did.
Watched a lot of your YouTube videos.
I've got her here.
And
there she is.
So beautiful. Yeah. Went with something romantic, right? For Valentine's.
That's right. Yeah, I was feeling the love.
Good. And then someone asked, what is a bullet journal?
What is?
Yes, what is a bullet journal? And I think one thing I was wondering as well is how what spreads do you use when you set yours?
So a bullet journal, the way I use it is basically a one-stop place for all your planning, your tracking. So you want to track, say if you wanted to track your sleep and your water intake and your exercise, it's a place to kind of monitor yourself and check in each day. A lot of people like to write, like I'm recently writing in like a gratitude point each day because I have a gratitude page now, but I was always a list taker. So I would always have Post-its flying around and like lists everywhere. So now it's all held in this one journal, my lists, my weekly, daily activities, monthly commitments. I just kind of put everything in there, and it's really nice to have that go-to spot. So it's a lifesaver if you want to be an organized person or you are an organized person. And then for me, I like to, it's helping me be productive, but also practice my art and just stay always like getting better in your art. So it's a big combo. I think that answered the question, was it?
And do you have any tips or like any resources for anyone who is too busy to add like drawings into their bullet journal?
I sure do. That is a good question. On my website, I actually have a shop, an online shop, where you can download all the themes that I've already created. So if you're not into doing the artwork yourself, but you still liked some of my designs through the journals, you can just print them out and stick it into like any journal that's A5 size. And then you could just write your own, weekly activities and a mind map. So anything that comes out of your brain that you need to remember, you can put that in there. So yeah, if you're not into doing the decorating yourself, there is always those options as well.
Sweet. They look gorgeous. I've seen those as well, and yeah, love that.
I do sell the bullet journals on there as well. I don't know how much more they'll be available for because they're running down in stock, but it's also coming to the end of like the stock that I've got. So shipping wise, I don't really want to promote too much because obviously international shipping and local. So I don't know. They're available, and I'm sorry if you'd miss out.
What was your process for designing those notebooks? So they're notebooks with like patterns on them, right? Are they based on countries as well?
They are. So there's an Australian one, which looks the same as this tape that I used today. And then there's a South Korean one, and then there's just the plain one, which, yeah, that's it. And the South Korean one has the tiger on it, and I really, really love how they turned out. I really love the colors, but the patterns. And I just did that using, like, making a pattern, how to create a pattern, when you're doing the watercolor, and then you cut it together and it makes it seamless. So I did a video, I think it might be on my Patreon, of how to create a seamless pattern like that. And then you can put it on anything, so wallpaper or bedspreads or, whatever. And it was so much fun. So I used that on the journals first.
Do you do it like on paper first with watercolor, and then do you transfer it to digital after?
Yeah, digital, just like clean it up and create the actual the material for them to print from as well for production purposes. So yeah, a lot of my art starts in the, what's the word? In the handmade way, and then it goes digital. That's the one. Traditional. And then then I'll digitize it after that.
Sweet. Okay, so a few questions are kind of just your account name and pinning the links. So I've got Torryn's Instagram pinned just here in the comments. And I guess to wrap up, do you want to share some of the other places people can find you as well? And whatever you say, I'll also link the same links on our stories. So if anyone misses how it's spelled or anything, just check our Instagram stories right after.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, if you want to find me on YouTube, I'm just the YouTube channel Torryn Marie. And then obviously Torryn Marie Art here on Instagram and TikTok. And I think I'm on Twitter as well, and Reddit. So all those usual ones are at Torryn Marie Art. But yeah, the YouTube channel is Torryn Marie, as well as the website is torrynmarie.com. And thank you all very much for watching.
Yes, thank you so much. And thanks for leading the tutorial. I think mine's got a little while left to dry, but I'm going to add some of the details you mentioned afterwards too.
Beautiful. And then we'll send a photo of what it looked like, yeah?
Yes. We'll post all of that stuff as well on our stories. And we'll post the replay too. Actually, I was going to mention all of our live streams are on YouTube. So if you've missed any part of this or you want to watch again, it's all on YouTube. So that's where you can see it. Oh, and actually, we also have a discount code. I always forget to mention this until live 15. If you're watching right now and you want to grab any of these tapes or Torryn's set, it's called Wanderlust. So you can use that discount at checkout, live 15. And I think that's about it. So thank you so much, Torryn, for joining and for setting up like this beautiful tulip watercolor.
Thanks for having me. It was not as scary as I thought.
It was wonderful. I really enjoyed it, and I've already mentioned I feel so zenned out right now. So
that's awesome because you're about to go to bed, so you want to feel zen.
Yeah, 10:05 here, so I think it's morning for you. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Tell me, don't forget to send me a message what happens in the future, because for you it's Thursday, so you know.
Let you know.
Good. All right. Thanks.
Have a good
everyone.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.